Hi, this is Michelle Ashburner and we're doing math word problems. So much fun. Our textbook has a lot of really tricky problems where the equations you get aren't tricky. The trouble is getting the equations out of the words themselves. This is section 1.3 number 5, and if you don't have the textbook, here it is. I'm going to read it out to you. The cost of publication of each copy of a magazine is $1.30. But then it's sold to dealers for $1.50 per copy. The amount received for advertising is 20% of the amount received for all magazines sold beyond 100,000. And I start laughing here because it's getting chaotic, lots of words and different things to imagine. So we're asked to find the least number of magazines that can be published profitably if 80% of the issues published are sold. Okay. So first step, calm down. Second step, let's declare a variable. We want to know how many of the magazines we should publish or manufacture. So let's start by declaring variable. If you want a tip and you have the book, see example 4 on page 56. Right next door there's an example. Don't you feel silly for not looking at the example before. If you don't have the book, then we'll just do this together. So the idea is you need the profit to be greater than 0 in order for you to have profitably published magazines, right? So therefore, we're really saying that the total revenue, or what we make from selling, minus the total cost of making them or publishing them must be positive. So we're just going to try to find expressions for the total revenue and the total cost, subtract that, and then we'll end up getting an equation with actual numbers in it. Very exciting. Okay, so let's take a look here and just go bit by bit. This is the solution. So the total revenue is actually made up of two things. Selling each copy at $1.50 each, and then you get extra advertising revenue. And when I first read this part of the word problem, I thought to myself, oh, so the advertising, it must be a type of a cost. It must be something that takes away from the revenue. It doesn't. And it's worded much, much better in example 4 on page 56, right next to the problem. Because it's trying to say that in addition to the revenue of $1.50 rather per copy, you also are going to get 20% of the amount that you sell beyond 100,000. So you get the revenue from those, but then you also get extra advertising. The dealers will actually pay that. So I apologize for the wording in this problem. I find it very difficult, but once it's interpreted well enough, you can start to understand that you need to declare a variable. We're going to let Q represent the number of magazines published or made. And right away we'll conclude that then 0.8Q would be the number that are sold, because it says if 80% of the issues published end up being sold, so we can conclude that 0.8Q are sold. Then we're going to make the total revenue minus total cost equation. Starting out with normal regular revenue, $1.50 times the amount you sell will be your complete revenue. In addition to that, you also get the advertising revenue, which is 20% of all the additional sales of what you sell above 100,000 copies. Okay, so that's what this 0.8Q minus 100,000 is. First of all, we'll work from the inside out. So this is the advertising revenue that you get in addition. First of all, you know that you're going to sell 0.8Q, right? So that's why you put that there. And then you know that you only want to consider the copies above 100,000. So you take however many you think you're going to sell minus the 100,000. That's the amount of copies you get advertising revenue from. It is 20% of the sales for those particular magazines, and the sales will be 1.5 or $1.50 times the number you sell above 100,000. So at the risk of talking too much and making it more confusing, I'll just pause really quickly here and let you think about it. And you can pause the video and think about it for longer if you want. Now we must subtract total costs, and the total cost is easy. It takes you $1.30 per amount made, so just plain old Q, and then you subtract that off, and that has to be greater than 0. Hallelujah, we found an equation. Now, the thing about this equation is I had originally accidentally put 0.8q into here, and I ended up getting the wrong answer. So just being careful about how the cost is calculated using a different quantity of magazines than is the revenue. The revenue has to do with the amounts sold, and the costs have to do with the amounts made. And in this case, it's different, right? So then we'll just do some simplification. So right here, I'm just simplifying this whole left-hand side, and I end up getting that eventually, after a couple of lines, Q is strictly greater than 214,285.7, and so that must mean that we must sell at least 214,286 magazines, and that will help us be profitable because we set up the equation to make profit positive or greater than 0. Even if this was a decimal 3 or a decimal 2, whereas you wouldn't think normally of rounding, it says Q must be strictly greater than that half or quarter or whatever number, so you must choose the next whole number up. Very well done. We'll see you for the next problem.